Now, I don't want anybody to fall asleep, but we're going to talk about numbers and how things work when we're talking about compound interest, which of course is the magic to making a nest egg. So Sean Hughes is here to tell us about this. Sean, give me the details about compound interest and why it's magic.
Well, the reason it's magic, and before I get into that, they do call it the eighth wonder of the world,
okay,
compound
there we go.
interest. So, in fact, a lot of people my age, millennials, ask me, what should I be invested in? And I always tell them compound interest is what matters. So when you're young, all you want to do is really start saving early because compound interest really gets on your side as it builds. For example, if you have $1,000 and you make 5% interest, you've made $50 in interest. Now the next year, if you leave that in the account, you have $1,050, you make another 5%, now you've made $5,250.
Which of course, that's the compounding happening.
Right, that's the compounding effect. But at that amount of money, we don't see a lot of money that we can live on. But if we have 500,000, for example, in an account, and we make 10%, that's a significant amount of money. That's $50,000 of passive income that we can now live on, and the compounding will continue to work in our favor.
And the key to it is starting early, which of course, if parents are even investing for their children, taking those savings bond that the grandparents gave them and putting them all together, which is another factor, is actually not just having all sorts of little bits and pieces, but having a larger chunk have that compounding acting at once.
Right. And to pool all your resources from your, money that's coming out of your paycheck, etc., into one big nest egg that continues to grow is important. The other thing that's important is to make sure that you cut out any unnecessary expenses, because that's going to allow that compound interest to grow more if you're putting more towards it. So you got to look at both sides of the equation, the saving and the expenses.
Well, now when we think about it, let's say a savings account, or a CD or something relatively straightforward, there may be all sorts of little catches and gotchas. There's fine print. So what are some of those details?
Well, the fine print that you want to look for, is there any penalties for getting out of it early? Are there any excess charges if you stay in the account, let's say, more than 6 months? A lot of credit cards will give you that low introductory rate of 0%.
The teaser rate.
Yeah. Everyone's jumping up and down to get into that account because they see $10,000 of free money, for example. But what happens is, usually after the first year, it jumps to 24.99. We've all seen it, but that actually compounds daily versus yearly. So they're really making that a lot harder for you to pay off that debt. So when we use credit cards, we have to be responsible and pay them off hopefully every month and use them to build credit, not to get into more debt.
So there's unfortunate aspects of compound interest, like the debt equation, but thinking about it in the savings, CDs, or any other instrument that you might invest in. Sean, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Fritz.